Hey friends, how's it going? Have you been liking these videos? I hope so. I hope you're getting wonderful recommendations. That is the point of my channel, to be able to share them about the amazing authors whose books I read, so I hope that you have been enjoying them. Today's video is chock full of more recommendations. If you're just seeing this video, make sure you go back and look through the other videos that I did like this. I've divided them out by trope, so hopefully that makes it easy for you. Today's video is on a trope I affectionately assigned the name of Love is Love to. These are going to be MM romances because I did read a couple this year, and then something that might be a little bit more taboo, but it's still love, and then a sex positive story. I'm also throwing one more book in here that's completely different, but it fits in with this Love is Love thing, but you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to it. If you're new here, welcome. I would love to have you consider subscribing and coming to hang out with us here regularly. And also, if you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Let's get to talking about all the Love is Love books that I read in 2022. The first one is a book that I've never read anything like it. It is an MM book, but the part that was really cool was like the premise of the book. The book is What is Love by Cassandra P. Lewis. It's about Rafe and Matthew, who are from, Rafe is a side character from her Made for You trilogy. I read those books in 2021, and I put those videos up right in the beginning of 2022. Love that series of her. Cassandra's one of my favorite authors. I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record, but you need to hear me. If you have not read her, you're missing out. What is Love was so amazing. And not only because I love Rafe and Matthew, but the premise is their daughter is asked to write an assignment for a college class, or is it a grad school class? Could be high school, but I feel like it's college or grad school. And it's What is Love? And it makes her think of her dads and their love story. And it starts when they're like, gosh, are they in their 50s? And it's them looking back on their relationship. Oh my God, is it beautiful? I absolutely loved it. Next is also one of Cassie's books. It's Home Sweet Home, Jefferson Ranch Book 3. It's about Jimmy Ray and Landon. It's an MM book. It's small town. Oh, we know Jimmy Ray from the beginning, the first book, which is Home, and then the second book. He's in all the books. So this is finally his story. He's Daisy's brother. I just loved him. It's a coming out a bit for him. Well, yeah, it's a coming out for him. He's in his, boy, by the time it happens, middle 20s, I think. He goes up to Canada to work on a ranch with his dad and meets Landon. I love her stories. There's so much heart in this book. I just adored the series, and I love this book. Next, we have a Duet, which is The Graceless and Faithful Duet by N.N. Britt. It's an MM, it's rock star, it's angsty as heck. It's about Dylan and Kai. They meet under pretty stressful, needless to say, stressful circumstances. Dylan's sister, who he was super tight with, has passed away. It's the second anniversary-ish of her death, and she was in a band, and that band, who Kai is the lead singer of, is releasing new music. There's all these questions about how his sister died, and he feels like, oh my God, and now they're going to release new music. Like, is it her music? Is she on there? Dylan's confused. Dylan's pissed. And he goes to confront Kai. This story is like, I've never read anything like this before. I loved the angst because there was something really special about Kai. I really have to say, and I think I even talked about this in my video that I did on it. Like, I wasn't really sure, like the first book, I'm like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like, I really like Nat's writing, but I'm not sure I'm connecting here. I'm not invested in them. And then all of a sudden, like the last couple chapters of the first book, I was like, oh my God, like literally the bomb dropped. And all of a sudden my heart just like started bleeding on the pages. I got it. It clicked in for me. I freaking love that that happened, and I could not wait to then read Faithful. And I've never read a character like Kai. Never, ever, ever. I didn't know if I liked him. There were times when I didn't like him. There were times I wanted to push him and be like, what is wrong with you? And she peels back his layers. Oh my gosh. And Dylan is just adorable. And I loved his heart so much. Highly recommend. Next up, we have Don't Speak by Diane Lane. This is Molly and Aiden. This is step siblings. I know there's some people that are automatically be like, oh, forget it. But let me tell you, this book, I love how this ties into the Red Door series in a way that, I'm going to be honest, I didn't connect until Diane told me. And then it was like a light bulb went off and I was like, oh my gosh. I read this when I had COVID at the end of March, and it's what got me through having it. I'm telling you, that was a nightmare. I was so sick. I was really sick. Anyway, I digress, but this is just amazing. If you have not read Diane yet, you are missing out. And I loved Molly and Aiden. Following up Don't Speak with one of my favorite authors, which is T.L. Swan and Ferrara. I put this in this category because there is some question about the familial relationships between Giuliano and Francesca's families. There was so much I liked about this book, but I also have to admit to not liking Giuliano very much at all. There were things that he said that I loved, like how much he loved her. I loved that. But there was also something that he did in this book that I kind of found unforgivable. And I hate to say that, but I wanted him to correct a situation that he didn't correct, and how much weight it carried in their relationship with how Francesca's reaction to this thing and how it played into them, I just couldn't get into. That being said, I loved how she brought in Enrico from The Italian. I loved meeting some other characters that I think there's going to be books about if she holds true to her 2023 release schedule. Not, I think, like she put it out there. So I believe we're getting a book about this certain character, Valentino. So I'm loving that she's like building this other world and coming over here because she's one of my favorite authors. So of course, I love to hear she's writing no matter what she's writing. I'm so excited. Finally, if the stars continue to align, I will meet her in the last week in March. I'm going to Readers Take Denver. She's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of authors. It's a huge signing. It's a little overwhelming. I'll be honest, it's 4 days, you guys. I'm going to be there. I'm going with one of my best friends. I'm so excited. And let me tell you, I'm going to take a beeline for tea, because to be able to look her in the eyes and talk to her and like really thank her for making my romance reading life so full and amazing. I know it sounds corny, but you guys, it's how I feel, you know, like she just opened, accessed a part in my heart that hadn't been accessed yet. And it grew from that, and it's her books. So, okay, I digress. Let's shift gears to going to Hey Mr. Marshall by Saffron Kent. This is about Poe and Alaric. It's St. Mary's Rebels book 4. I have really enjoyed this series. I have to admit to this one just missing the mark for me. I was really anxious to read Poe because of course we've met her in the first book because the books are all connected. There was something about them that I never was able to draw the line and connect them. Something just never connected for me. That being said, you guys know I'm a huge fan of hers. I enjoy the kind of wonder and awe that her female characters always have. And then on the flip side, the wonder and awe that her male characters always have and feel about the female characters. There's something really special about all that. Next, one of the probably the spiciest holiday book I've read to date. And the first book by this author that I've read, which I'm really excited to have finally read her. And then I read 2 books of hers. It's Gifting Me to His Best Friend by Katie Roberts. It almost makes me a little bit like blush saying that. I am so glad that I'm not attracted to my husband's friends because, you know, I didn't have to worry about that in my head. You know what I'm saying? I was surprised that I thought it was just fluff and it was just going to be spicy, smutty. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's about Grayson, Emma, and Derek. It's very sex positive. And let me tell you, it just I was happily surprised that there was a little more meat to the story about their marriage. Emma and Grayson are married. Derek is Grayson's best friend. Obviously, gifting me to his best friend. So there's a snowed in quality to this story that makes it a little bit cozy and comfortable, and that was really easy to read. I read it right before Christmas, so it was definitely the vibes, and I was actually pleasantly, not that I don't think Katie's a good writer, that's not what I'm saying. I was pleasantly surprised at like that she gave me enough that my heart was like, oh, like, okay, good, you know. It wasn't just the thrill of reading it, you know what I'm saying? We'll follow that quickly up by the first PNR book that I've read in forever. It's Vampires, and it's also a Katie Robert book. It is Court of the Vampire Queen. Oh my gosh. Okay, like literally within like 2 pages, he's throwing her on the floor and she's having an orgasm. I was like, oh my God. Okay, it's like that then. Okay. But here's the thing, I was excited to read a vampire book again. I've been wanting to read a vampire book. I've told you guys a million times, if I've told you once, I can't wrap my head around PNR usually. Fantasy romance, like I can't do it. My head just doesn't compute. Now, that being said, I can get with some vampires. Like, vampires I can do. Why? I don't know. But when it comes to, like, other things, I'm not sure that I'm there as far as my reading and opening my mind. You know I like to push my boundaries. And this and the previous book certainly pushed my boundaries as a reader, a romance reader. Something about Court of the Vampire Queen and the whole why choose thing. Okay, I see the appeal of why people like to read it. And there's really something to be said for somebody bringing something to a relationship and you get something different from everybody. And it just so happens that they're down to do it too. So who am I to judge? It's Mina, Malachi, Wolf, and Rylan. I really liked this book. I liked that there was just enough meat for me, and I will definitely be reading more Katie Robert. I'm super excited because she's coming to an independent bookstore not far from me. I got tickets, so stay tuned for a little bit of my trip to go see her there. And lastly, I read a novella called Burn Baby Burnt by K.L. Mann. This was a age gap mom's boyfriend or husband. That I can't remember. It's Dixie and Jasper. I've never read this kind of relationship before. She definitely addressed the whole relationship between Jasper and her mom early on. This book obviously pushed my boundaries as a reader, but there was something that I really liked about the fact that once the relationship between Dixie's mom and Jasper was kind of explained, I kind of like opened up a little bit more to the story, and then I really liked that Jasper was the one that was like, you know, we're meant to be, and that Dixie was like, I don't got time for you, you know? So I really like that aspect of it. That wraps up my Love is Love video. I hope you got some great recommendations, guys. I've got one more video coming your way of my series, so definitely be on the lookout for that. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.